I wish I would have given less to God. I just wish I wouldn't have given as much as I did to God in my life. I wish I wouldn't have given my teenage years. I wish I wouldn't have given in my 20s. If I could go back and do something different, I'd give less to God. It's never the regret, ever. The regret is always, if I could do it again, I wish I could give Him more. I wish I would have given Jesus more of my life. I wish I wouldn't have wasted those years. There has to be something in us that says we want to live for something greater than ourselves. We want to live for the cause of Christ in the earth. Revival happening in our day. We're going to pray for one another in just a moment. My dad was a police officer for 30 years, and during some of that time he was a partner with a police officer who had been shot. He didn't die, but he had been shot, and he was chasing a guy and he had been shot a few times. He lived and he was fine, but I remember going to lunch with him, and I remember asking him, like, tell me about that experience. Like, what was that like? I mean, just how, the craziness of being shot. And I was just asking him about it. He began to describe to me what your body does in high intense situations. He began to talk about how your body begins to actually narrow in on things and shut things down. He talks about, he said, in the midst of that moment when they were in that shootout, your mind actually slows things down. The world kind of turns, it goes into slow motion. Like your mind will slow things down so you can lock in on just that one thing you're supposed to lock in on in that moment. He says many times your peripheral vision will just turn off, will just shut down. Your peripheral vision will just go away because you don't need it in that moment for this. And he says many times your body will just shut your hearing off. He says many times you'll see guys that won't be bleeding because your outer layer of blood will just shut off and only your internal organs will be working. He was describing this thing about what your body does in these situations that just require intense focus. And about 2 weeks later or so, I was praying just before the Lord, just normal prayer, and the Lord said, Danny, that's what I'm doing in your life right now. He said, that's what I'm doing spiritually in your life. He said, I'm shutting things down, and I'm going to lock you in, and I'm going to put a focus in your life for revival in this nation. He said, I'm going to lock you in on this thing. And I began to feel in my own life, the Lord just began to shut things down, and an intensity of focus. Like, I'm here to talk to you about the love of Jesus tonight, because the reality is you will never sustain it. Like, you'll never sustain a focused, intense life for Jesus without really encountering His intense love for you. Like, it just won't happen. But when you encounter that love, there's a focus that begins to come in. And what we're here tonight for is to really challenge and call you. Will you lay everything down for that? Will you stand before the Lord and say, Lord, listen, whatever it takes, I don't want to be marked just tonight. I don't want to be marked just this week or this year. I want the rest of my life to be marked by the presence of God. I want the rest of my life to be marked